So this is how I would approach this assignment. First of all, I want you to notice something. If you're looking at the endpoint that we have used to create a crocodile and the endpoint that we have used to get all the crocodiles, you will see that we're using the exact same address. It is the exact same address. The only thing that changes is the request method. So a particular endpoint can work with different request methods. If we're saying here get, it will give us a list of crocodiles. If we are selecting post, then it's expecting that we are creating a crocodile, that we are adding a crocodile to our list. Perfect. All right. So let's see how we can do this in case 6. We already have the address there because the previous request had it. So we can reuse that and see if we can make our life a bit easier. So the only thing that I'm going to go ahead and copy from here is actually the structure for a new crocodile. Let's go ahead to the script and paste this data here, and we're just going to keep it here for a second or two before we actually use it. So our endpoint is pretty much the same like this one, and we also require authentication information. So what we're going to do here is we're going to reuse this. And in this case, instead of HTTP GET, we're going to use HTTP POST. We have this address. And then there's always the question like, where is the body coming? So just remember, the body in this case is the second argument that we're passing. And only the third one are the params, which in this case contain headers. What we need to remember here is that we need to send JSON. So we need to write here JSON.stringify, especially if we're working with an object. And then we're passing the object here. So this is how initially it looks like. Then we can move this JavaScript object inside here. We know this theoretically is, we could put it as a string. Typically, we don't want to have JSON strings in our code here because they're a bit harder to manage. So we just want to work with JavaScript objects so that we can get all the benefits if we make a mistake or something like that. We're going to get, for example, here, we're going to see here, if I'm removing something, I'm going to get a warning. But because this is JavaScript and not JSON, we don't need quotes on the property names. We can replace the double quotes with single quotes. All right. So let's take a look at what we're doing and run this script to see if it works properly. What we want to see here initially is an error. We're going to get here unsupported media type. So this is a bit confusing, right? So let's try to understand like what we did and why it doesn't work properly. So first of all, we can take a look here at the post request. So we have the post request. We're trying to create crocodiles. This is the host. And if we're looking here at the headers, notice that we're actually missing something, right? And this error can be confusing because we don't know exactly what we're doing, what is wrong. It seems that everything is correct. But actually, we want to see here that the content type header is missing. So we are sending JSON, but we're not actually telling the server, hey, we're sending you JSON. So we need to specify that as well here. So we have the authorization header, but remember, we have used the authorization header only for GET. With GET, we're not sending any data. We need to take a look at this content type header. I'm going to go ahead and put it either below or before it. And then let's send it once again. So what we're noticing now is we're getting back 201 created. This is actually the response. Our crocodile now has its own ID, and we can reference it by this ID. And apart from this, we can also inspect again our request. It's a post request. We have here the authorization, and we have here also the content type. So this is how we can create such a request in case 6, which is a post request with a body, with authorization, and we're also specifying the content type.